is Jeannie Dale Woodard Life Estate and Edward Vince Woodard remainder. Developers Evans Land Development. Engineer is Becker Morgan Group. Location is 1500 block of Progressive Church Road, south of Baker's Chapel Road in the Boone Hill Township, served by Boone Hill Fire and Princeton Rescue. It's 73.93 acres, 49 lots proposed. Johnston County Public Water, individual septic. Traffic count was 1,000 vehicles per day. That's in 2023. This portion of Progressive Church Road appears on the Comprehensive Transportation Plan as a secondary road with adequate design capacity with no noted improvement needed. This parcel is not within the environmentally sensitive area. However, a floodplain appears on the parcel.
Any questions of staff? Thank you, sir. We'll give it a minute and let room turn over here. Yes, sir, Don. I'm assuming it's going to be you on this one as well.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
It is. I'm the Lone Ranger from my office tonight. Okay, so before you, subdivision that, as said previously, designed according to county standards, Johnston County standards, NCDOT standards. We are proposing 49 lots served by public water and individual septic systems. We do have a CBU, and it's in that location, kind of like you asked earlier on the previous project, back of the lot. We did mention the 100-year floodplain. There's 100-year floodplain on this property. We've stayed out of it with our proposed development. We got some lots outside the building footprint that we chose to run back into the floodplain. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions specific to the project.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to be heard as it relates to Hatcher Farms?
Good evening, Nathan Evans, Evans Development. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else like to be heard as it relates to Hatcher Farms? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, please.
Hey, my name is Edward Vince Woodard. I'm 4265 NC Highway 39, Selma. I am the owner of the property, my brother and I. Just wanted to, my grandfather bought this land back in World War II, so he was somewhat of an entrepreneur himself. I think he would be very happy to have this developed into a housing area for people. He was a very good and giving man, so I think that this is appropriate for him. This is going to be named after him, so we as a family give our consent for this to be sold, and we're looking forward to seeing what it's going to bring for the community.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else for Hatcher Farms? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name's Scott Roll. I own 8 3/4 acres on the other side of the road towards the narrow end of this project. And my question for the developer is what kind of structures do they plan to put there?
Structures by way of houses.
Stick built, double wide, single wides.
Okay, I can get an answer for you on that. No
Okay.
problem. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I live in the property adjacent to the proposed subdivision
Yes, ma'am.
at 1551.
What's your name?
Lois Arthur.
Okay, thank you.
We have 11 and a half acres there. We've never had anything on either side, which is now farmland on both sides of our home. So now we're looking at all these homes being possibly built. And what are you going to do that I don't see them in my back of my house every single day, every single night? Because the way the land is situated, it comes inward the way my house sits. I don't know if you can tell anything from it there or not on that map. But in the whole backside of my house, someone in every single one of those lots is going to peer into every room on the back of my house when they choose to do so. I have a problem with that. I think you would too. Okay, the next thing is I'm sure you'd put up some type of privacy barrier or whatever due to that. You're talking a berm or like, what's the possibility of what it would be? Then you also have street lights that you're gonna have. Is all that also gonna be peering into my windows every single night at whatever time of the night it may be? All night long the lights stay lit most likely? Just saying. Also, just this past fall, there's a lot of wildlife, deer for sure. 15 to 20 every day come out of those woods on both sides of where I live, even in my yard. Just last fall, there was an eagle, literally. I watched him. There were buzzards that come after a dead deer in the middle of the property on the other side, not where you're talking about doing the subdivision. The deer died. The buzzards were eating it up big time. All of a sudden comes this deer. I just happened to be on my back porch and witnessed this. And every buzzard that was there flew away just like, oh my gosh, the man himself is here. And they didn't dare come back. He watched everything that they did, that the eagle did. He's been seen several times for where I live because I've seen him as well as other people in the area. They could all tell you that. Just saying to be aware of what you're looking at there, that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to be heard as it relates to Hatcher Farm? Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm James Arthur. I live in that's my wife that was just up here. There's a difference in the property. My property is like 3.5 foot deeper. In other words, where the man is thinking about putting all this housing development is 3 to 3.5 foot above my property is on the bottom. And whenever the field floods, when we have a heavy rain and that field floods, it runs down into a blind, I put a blind ditch there in 1992 when I bought that property. But what happens is my backyard fills with water. I mean, a heavy rain. So what is it going to do if you got a 3.5 foot above what my property is? What's going to happen when you dump all that water there on that property? You also mentioned in here he's going to have a septic tank in each lot. Where are those feeder lines going? Are they going back the other way? I mean, you know, I've got two in the house that we're in. I think it's got 2 or 3 feeder lines that are 150 foot long. Most of these lots right here are built on 0.73 acres. So, I mean, that's another thing that I wonder about. So, I think that pretty well covers what I wanted to tell you, but I mean, we do have a problem there. I don't know what kind of berm you're going to put up. If he's going to put a berm on it, it's going to have to be high, because if it's not high, what we're going to have is they're going to have a clear view of my home. And we've been there for 30 years. It's been agriculture on both sides, to my knowledge, and that's probably my fault. I didn't know that it was where it could be either a residential property or agricultural property. I mean, but that's where we are. But it's bad to know that I'm 74 years old, and it looks like I'm going to have to start over on account of what's there. I don't know what he's going to put there. I mean, they know what they're going to build there, but I don't know what he's going to put there. But that's what I have to tell you. Okay? Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Anyone else? All right, Donnie, I think we got a couple questions to the degree you want to answer them, but certainly question, is there any, even though our code does not require any buffers between like uses, any buffer plan in the vicinity of lots 4 and 5? You might want a little education on the process for approving septic layouts through the county, and to the degree you want to answer it, whether it's stick built or mobile homes or the like. I think that's the 3 I have.
I'll answer the ones I can, probably not the last one. As far as the question to the buffer, would be the same response provided earlier by me. We don't have plans from the engineer, I should make that clear. From the engineering firm, planning firm, we don't have plans for a berm, landscape, or otherwise along any of the property lines provide any buffer between single-family residential and single-family residential. Developer may have other plans on that. As far as stormwater goes, I know he said something, you didn't ask about stormwater, but he said something about stormwater. Same as before on all our projects, we work to have the water continue to move where it's always moved, and that's what we'll do in this process. Along this one, our roads are designed to be generally on our ridge points and moving the water back towards the floodplain where it's been going, and we'll keep on doing that. Septic, I am to send an expert testimony totally because I don't lay out septic systems, but I need to know a little bit about them as we plan out these subdivisions. So all these lots are a minimum of 30,000 square feet, which that was, they used, in the county, used to not have, for single-family residential, we didn't have a minimum lot size. It was based on what your land could handle, and so that's been increased to a minimum size. We meet the minimum size, and that's that. If there's not appropriate soil on these lots to support the septic, then a lot will be lost in there. But the septic will be contained within each lot. There are specific setbacks from the property line and from structures that will be required to be met, and I can't quote them, but they're required to be met as part of the septic permitting process that is far down the road from where we are today. Yep. And, oh, deer. Didn't ask about deer, but I can't imagine running off a deer. I really would have liked to run them off of my property. A bunch of times I live in a subdivision with a lot smaller lots than these, and I can't keep them away from my bushes, so I don't think we're going to run them off.
All right, 10-4.
That being said, you want to talk about structures?
Stick built. Yeah, they'll certainly be stick built. I mean, the price point of effectively all dirt in the county at this point necessitates a higher end product. Well, I'll say a more expensive product, and that's stick built. So these, and we couldn't put single wides out there anyway because you got to have an acre. So I'm prohibited by rule and regulation. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else to the buffers, or Donnie said none planned, and
None planned right now, but I'm not insensitive to it. To the Arthur family. I'm not insensitive to the Arthur family, so, you know, sometimes, well, and when it comes to berms, environmental health has a say, because those berms impact drain fields. So I certainly can't promise anything, but if environmental health, you know, gets what they need and would potentially allow a berm, and if, when we're doing our roads and we don't have a construction documents yet, so we don't know if we're cutting or filling or what, but we have a lot of cut and we got a stockpile there, I got to put it somewhere. I'm happy to put it there. And if the Arthurs want it, then I can put some on there. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So I can have that conversation with Arthurs, or they can have it with me after we get our construction documents. I'm happy to help if we can, but there's no plans right now for a berm.
thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, bring it back to staff.
Staff recommendations, preliminary approval, subject to the conditions and requirements in the staff report.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Sasser, second by Mr. Crenshaw. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, At Your Farms is approved. Next, we have rezonings on our agenda. I don't know if there's some more folks outside that want to turn over a little bit. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and we'll let the room turn over and everybody get ready.
I'm sorry. We don't have enough room in here. Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone for clearing out the room and getting back resettled while we took a break. Next on our agenda are rezonings. We have one case before us this evening. A word about rezonings. We serve as an advisory board to the Board of County Commissioners. So all of the case that we will hear this evening will be heard by the Board of County Commissioners on March 2nd. So regardless of our recommendation to the board, it will be heard by them on March 2nd. So if you're here this evening for this rezoning case, please put that date on your calendar. That's the date it will go to the Board of County Commissioners. Mr. Marr, kick us off, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Conditional zoning case 25-15. The petition to rezone 28.38 acres located at Cleveland Road and Pierce Road in the Cleveland Township Agriculture Residential and Interstate Highway Interchange Overlay to Industrial 2 conditional zoning. Owner is Gail Matthews. Applicant is Prologis, Inc. Its conditional zoning request involves multiple heavy industrial uses, which are listed in number 1 of your conditions. Existing land use is zoned agriculture residential with a very small part in the Interstate Highway Interchange Overlay, and it's right now a vacant lot. Surrounding land use is zoned agriculture residential and used for those purposes. Zoned Interstate Highway Interchange Overlay and is used for many different businesses and industrial uses, and zone general business and used for multiple business uses. Traffic count for this portion of Pierce Road is 1,400 vehicles per day, but that count was reported in 2022. This portion of Pierce Road does not appear on the comprehensive transportation plan as needing improvement. This area is located within a designated regional mixed-use center, future land use place type on the envisioned Johnston 2040 comprehensive land use plan. These areas are intended to be centers of activity that include a mix of retail, restaurant, service, office, civic, and institutional uses. A portion of the lot is also in the Interstate Highway Interchange Overlay. There were 17 notices sent out to adjacent property owners, along with a sign that was put up on the property and notices to the media. A pre-application meeting was held with the applicant on September 2nd, 2025. That was the first, and we've had several since then.
Any questions of staff?
I got one. I think there was a TIA done for where the Wawa is and the Whataburger's going. Was that included in TIA, since now they're showing a road that punches through?
Actually, no, sir, Mr. Little, it was not, because that was done quite some time before this project was brought to our attention in terms of a formal application. Typically, until there's formal application, those these types of projects are not considered. This road was probably would not have been considered as part of that. It's cut through from 42 to Pierce Road, just because it wasn't something that we were sure could actually take place due to the environmental features that are there. However, it does appear that it may actually be able to occur.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other questions of staff? Thank you, Mr. Marr. Who would like to be heard on behalf of case 25-15? And for everyone speaking, if you don't mind, please give us your name and address.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Jason Barron with Morningstar Law Group, 434 Fayetteville Street, Suite 2200, Raleigh, 27601. Excited to be here tonight on behalf of Prologis, Inc. Joining me tonight are a number of folks that we have, some in this room. I think some folks are still in the spillover in the hallway. But you will hear from Grant Benson momentarily. If we could move back on the slides, we've got a little bit of work to do before we get there. We have prepared, no, actually, we're further down, I think. Sorry. We've got a presentation. We recognize what an important opportunity this is for the county. We recognize what an important piece of property this is to the number of folks who are in this room. And so if you could move to the next slide. So in addition to Grant, who you'll hear from momentarily, we've got Spencer Terry with BGE. They provided site civil on this site, and they're here to answer any questions, Spencer is, related to the engineering of the plan. Exult is the transportation engineer who's been engaged on this, and you'll hear from Tyler Belang if you've got questions. And then we had a noise consultant. Unfortunately, Bethany couldn't be here, but Spencer worked closely with Bethany on the noise study that was done for this site and can answer any questions related to that. Next slide. And so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Grant, who's going to talk a little bit about Prologis, and then I'm going to run through kind of the details of how we've gotten to where we are and what we believe are the key facts that really make this the type of use that the county's going to want to see and that the county be proud of when it's improved.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you all planning board for this evening. So want to just kind of start off, tell you a little bit about who we are. So at the local level, we're a dedicated team of professionals that span across property management, leasing, maintenance, development, and investments. Our focus is on long-term ownership of our properties, which can really only be done with the subject matter experts, of which we have a few in the room here. At a global level, we're a logistics real estate company, and that's our sole focus. This allows us to deliver deep expertise to our 6,500 customers globally, which we don't call them tenants. We call them customers because they're the lifeblood of our organization. And this tenant base or customer base is underserved currently, as Johnston County logistics market is currently at 2% vacancy. So we see this as an opportunity to service that underserved product type, and also the population growth occurring in the region and local consumption that comes with that. Another thing I want to focus on is sustainability. Now, I mentioned earlier we're a long-term ownership. We take pride in offering market-leading building specs with a focus on sustainability, and this includes LEED Silver certification for all of our buildings, solar-ready roofs, EV charging capability for autos and trucks, and drought-tolerant landscaping, to name a few. So with that, I do want to just kind of wrap up and say we're excited about this opportunity to invest in the community and help facilitate some of this long-term growth for the county. So thank you.
Preston, if you wouldn't mind advancing the slide to the, next slide. One more. Great. Go back to that one. So again, we believe there are what we believe are four salient points associated with why this is the right decision to make, why supporting this case is the right thing to do. We think it's the right use in the right location, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan, not only based upon what's been adopted, but also some activity that's happened in this area from a zoning standpoint. My client, Prologis, has been good neighbors. I've heard, we've had a neighborhood meeting, and we've been responsive to those concerns and have updated plans based upon that feedback. And then want to talk a little bit about the balanced overall impact from a tax increase standpoint, which is always an important factor for uses like this. Next slide. So right use, right location. You've got Pierce Road to the north, Cleveland Road to the east of the site. Next slide. Envision Johnston Comprehensive Land Use Plan designates this as a regional mixed-use center. As you can see, it's kind of in the northwestern portion of the county. Next slide. And it's a Tier 1 priority investment area. These are the types of areas where you want to see this type of development activity, this type of end user moving in and developing these types of uses. Next slide. Currently zoned AR, we've got I-2 to the north of us, I-2 to the south and west, and then general business up along the highway. Next slide. And I mentioned the zoning activity. As you all are familiar, there was a case that was approved last year by the Board of Commissioners, and that was a case that was designated in a similar fashion as us, and ultimately what the Board of Commissioners found was that that site, which was zoned, requested for I-2 conditional zoning, was consistent with the regional mixed-use center classification for that area, and that's to the north of this site. Next slide. And so kind of listening to the feedback that was provided even before we really got started in this process, watching that zoning case go forward, listening to the discussion that happened at this table, as well as the discussion that happened at the Board of Commissioners, my client saw the conditions that were added, including conditions, as you may be familiar, that's like added conditions kind of at the 11th hour. And I say at the 11th hour, like at the table, conditions were added. We've incorporated all of those conditions. And so the conditions that are before you tonight are identical to the zoning conditions that were adopted as part of that case. Again, just to ensure that from a compatibility standpoint, from a comprehensive planning standpoint, that we are doing essentially what the county's expectations are for this area. Next slide. And so I won't run through all of those uses, but essentially what we have done is we've incorporated the industrial 2 zoning. We've eliminated a bunch of them. Next slide. And then we have a handful that we have modified. Again, these are identical in every way to the case that was recently approved by the Board of Commissioners. Next slide. In addition, we've got a number of conditions that speak to things like additional trees. So we've increased the planting requirement along the entire perimeter of the site. That includes plantings adjacent to the buffered stream that's to the west of our property, which we'll talk about momentarily. We've also got conditions related to signage, lighting, making sure that the structures are going to comply with all the requirements of the ordinance. Next slide. And so this is the plan that essentially all of these conditions are built around. And I want to note a couple of things that we think are very, very important to the commissioner's understanding of this case, to the planning board's understanding of this case, and to the community's understanding of this case. As was mentioned, Masonboro Road will essentially be the spine of this development. It will function from Prologis's perspective as the front door to the site. So Masonboro Drive will be extended through the site. That's where all of the activity kind of moving in and out of the site, or the vast majority of it, will be moving through that location. And that's where construction traffic will be moving through. And so as they move through the development, that will be the first part of development, is extending Masonboro Drive and having the construction traffic come off of there rather than off of Pierce Road. Also, you can see how the buildings are laid out, and particularly that buffered stream. So if you look to the western edge of that site, there's a whole bunch of green there. That green is existing trees, and those trees, as you can see, extending beyond our site, there's tree canopy that's there as well. There's a lot of trees over there that is being protected naturally by Mother Nature. There's a buffered stream that is in that area that serves as a great buffer between any use of this site. It reduces visibility, it's going to reduce noise, it will provide a natural buffer between the adjacent residential uses and the buildings that will be put on the site. With that said, feedback that was received during the process also influenced, and feedback that we heard from the prior cases, influenced how the buildings are laid out. So if you look at where parking is located on the site, parking is located on the north and the south side of the building, on that western building, again, to avoid or minimize impacts of things like lighting to the adjacent residential subdivision. If you look to the building to the east, you can see kind of the furthermost parking area. That's where the designated truck parking area will be. So the 18-wheelers that will be coming in and out of this site, in addition to the fact that they'll be doing all of their loading on the south side of the kind of the long building, the shorter building, that's the designated parking area, kind of putting all of that parking as far away from the community as we possibly can. Next slide. And so at our community meeting we had a number of folks who attended. We heard kind of what we would consider three primary issues that folks were concerned with: traffic, noise, and light/visibility of the uses. With respect to traffic, we commissioned a traffic study. That's not something that's required by the county, or excuse me, by DOT for a project of this magnitude. I'm going to touch a little bit on the traffic study and the components of it. But long story short, this is not a project that would have otherwise been eligible for a traffic study. My client took it upon themselves, recognizing the traffic was a huge issue for the folks that live in this area. The end result of that traffic study is that with the traffic that's being generated by this site, along with the approved developments in this area and the other things that are proposed, that there are no off-site recommended traffic improvements for this development. And a big part of that is the industrial uses that are proposed for the site are actually low traffic generators. Now, there are larger trucks for sure, for certain, but in terms of volume of traffic, the daily traffic volumes for our use is 236 daily trips. Comparatively speaking, if this site were developed for exclusively office uses, and this is just by way of comparison, you'd be looking at 1,920 daily trips. And if it was developed for commercial uses, for retail uses, you'd be looking at something closer to 10,000 trips. And I say that not because that's what's planned here, but the light industrial use, the industrial kind of flex use that is planned here is a low traffic generator from a volume standpoint. As a result, there are no off-site traffic improvements that are required for this development nor recommended for this development. One additional note, and that last bullet point under traffic, you can't see very well. We have already reached out to DOT about the possibility of trying to reduce the recommended traffic speed on Pierce Road down to 35 miles per hour. We weren't terribly optimistic out of the gate. We heard some concerns from folks about speeding along Pierce Road. We weren't terribly optimistic that DOT would be willing to do that. The preliminary feedback we've got from DOT has been positive, that they would be willing to work with us and continue studying the possibility of reducing the speed limit on Pierce Road down to 35 miles an hour. Noise, a big concern, obviously, for folks that live adjacent to the site is what are we going to hear? And my client commissioned a noise study, and the result of that, and they can speak more specifically to that, but there were a number of different places that were studied, a number of different spots that were picked on the site to determine what is going to be the overall noise impact of this development. And as you could see, there was an increase in, of less than 1 decibel level as a result of this development. Just given the kind of the background noise, as you could probably imagine, the background noise with the associated highways is pretty high from a traffic volume standpoint. And so there's going to be very little noise impact associated with this. And then last, from a light and visibility standpoint, as I mentioned, we've got a great natural buffer along the western portion of the site. We're increasing plantings even in those locations to ensure that we're providing for better buffers. And we're requiring, as part of condition number 6, that all of our lighting face downward. Next slide. And this is just an example if you were looking out of the backyard of the adjacent neighbors with the existing stand of trees. And so this is kind of in the residential community to our west facing our site. And if you can look behind those trees, you can see where we have superimposed where those buildings will be. In the top left-hand corner gives you an idea of the topography of the site. It drops down where you've got the stream. You've got that natural vegetation that will be there that we can't touch. Even if we wanted to touch it, we cannot do it. We're prohibited by Johnston County and the state of North Carolina. Those are protected areas, and so we can't touch them. They will always be there, God willing. And so that kind of gives you an idea of, from a visibility standpoint, when this site is constructed, what you'll be seeing in those locations. Next slide. And then lastly, as I mentioned, it's going to be a significant contributor to the tax base in Johnston County. Johnston County continues, like a number of other folks, to prioritize trying to better balance the residential versus commercial tax base. We estimate, based on Prologis' experience in delivering similar high-quality development such as this, you're looking at $240,000 per year of property tax revenue, up to 214 jobs in this location. And then the Masonboro Road extension, again, that's something that we're going to do anyways, but it is worth noting that that's going to be, with the permitting that was talked about, having to cross that stream, that's going to be a $600,000 to $700,000 improvement that will be kind of built into this that taxpayers won't have to pay for, but it will certainly provide another relief valve for folks moving in and around this area. Next slide. And so again, we think it's the right use, the right location. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan. We think the comprehensive plan speaks to that. We think the actions that the county has taken in recognizing uses like this, condition just like this, shows that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. Prologis, I believe, has been a great neighbor in this process, will continue to be a good neighbor in terms of making sure that their plans, even though the comprehensive plan says this is what we want, even though it's the right thing in this area, you still want to make sure you're putting in conditions and putting in a plan that is going to be as good a neighbor as you can possibly be. And lastly, that we've got, we believe, a great balanced overall impact from a tax standpoint. And so with that, we're here to answer any questions that you all may have. We greatly appreciate your consideration of the case and would respectfully request your recommendation of approval. Thank you.
Questions?
One, the Masonboro Extension Road that you're planning on building that
Yes, sir.
connects to NC 42, NC 36, whatever you want to call
Sure,
it.
yeah.
Is that planning on being state maintained, or you want to try to turn that over to DOT, or is it going to be a private?
It's going to be private.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the configuration of the intersection between Masonboro and Pierce's Road look like? Turn left, right, turn lanes?
It's going to remain in its current configuration, which is no additional turn lanes are going to be added in that location.
So at Masonboro and Pierce,
Oh, at Masonboro and Pierce?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to call up Tyler Blank with Exult to answer that question, Mr. Letchworth. It exceeded my traffic capacity.
that's okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Tyler Blang with Exalt Engineering, located at 203 West Millbrook Road, Suite 200, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27609. And yeah, for the Masonboro extension going up to Pierce Road, as Jason said, there's no turn lane improvements there. Basically, delays in level of service were much more than acceptable, so no turn lanes or improvements are needed at that intersection.
236 daily trips, is that right?
Correct, yep.
With 214 jobs. Help me square that. What land use did you use when doing your TA?
I can pull that up. So we used, I'll pull up the trip gen table for you. Yeah, so for industrial land use, yeah, 236 total daily trips.
Based on square feet?
Based on square footage, yes, correct. And that is 276,880 square feet.
How many peak hours is that?
It's 55 trips during the AM peak hour, which is less than 1 per minute, and 70 trips during the PM peak hour, which is just over 1 per minute.
The traffic pattern within the site, have you guys thought about that? Are we bringing these trucks back out on Masonboro, or we're pushing them back out on Pierce? I mean, just a pattern you're gonna have inside the site.
So internal within the site, I'm not sure, but the site driveways, there are employee-only site driveways
And I
and
like-
truck site driveways, and we have, they're kind of spread out. Some of them are on Pierce Road and some of them will be on Masonboro.
Yeah, I like how the driveways or the parking areas are set out, but I was wondering when trucks are coming in here, they're obviously using 42 or 36 or whatever we're calling it this week, down Masonboro, and then they're gonna come into these loading docks. I was just wondering if those same trucks are coming back out that same way, which would be nice if they use that signal out there. But I was just wondering what the internal pattern was gonna look like.
Yeah, that's a question.
Cover that question, give them a functionality standpoint.
Looks like they got it coming out right there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're pushing these from these docks.
Yeah, so from a traffic flow standpoint, from a truck access, we have 2 dedicated options for ingress and egress for each building. We would envision ingress and egress occurring at both of those access points per building. So we're trying to maintain a level of flexibility here.
Cause we've got, what's out on Cleveland? I'm not real, I live right down the street from here. There's a turn lane on Cleveland coming in, which would be northbound on Cleveland, I guess. There's a
Correct.
long turn lane there.
Correct, yes.
And so the 2 access points on either end, exit only on the Pierce's Road. Am I reading that correctly?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Except for the employee-only one is a full movement on Pierce Road.
Say that again, I missed that.
That's exit only. See, left, right.
Right,
And then that's exit only.
okay.
So everybody's coming in here, circling through and going out.
Yeah,
Employee is both directions.
yeah.
They're doing that.
We could do, all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Maybe, not sure who it is, but talk me through neighborhood meeting, how many folks attended, and some of the changes that you made based on the feedback that you heard. I think you touched on a little bit of it in terms of the conditions.
So, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at the neighborhood meeting, but my colleague Hunter Winstead, who's here, was, and certainly these folks were. Again, received a lot of feedback at the neighborhood meeting. The primary issues were the ones that I identified. Less so about revisions to the zoning conditions and more to make sure that as we were making our way through the process, we were studying the things that people were concerned about. So traffic was a concern, we did a traffic study. Noise was a concern, we did a noise study. And then light and visibility. To be clear and in full candor, Prologis was always planning on putting this parking not in proximity to the neighbors. You didn't need a neighborhood meeting to know that folks were going to be concerned about where is the parking going to be. But with that said, that was certainly a resounding takeaway that we had, that from a site flexibility standpoint, like where are we going to, to your point, Mr. Lovering, about how are folks going to move in and out of the site, whatever we were going to be doing was going to be fixed in a point in terms of making sure that what we were doing on our site was going to have as minimal impact as possible on those folks in the neighborhood.
Any other questions to the team here? Anyone else from your team on behalf of the project?
No.
You'd like to present?
Okay. No, sir, but we're here to answer any further questions you might have.
Great. Yeah, we'll see what we get from the public, and may have some questions that come back to you. All right, a note on public comment. We very much respect that everybody showed up tonight. We want to hear what you have to say. I'll remind you that quantity is not the same thing as quality. So if you have testimony, if you've heard somebody that has similar testimony to what you have, there's no need to repeat it. We hear it once, we take it, we hear it. So no need for repeat, but if you've got new things or concerns that you've got, we absolutely want to hear them. Obviously, a lot of people here, I'm assuming there is some level of being a spokesman or spokeswoman for some of the group. We absolutely appreciate that if you do that. But we will start with whoever wants to go first. A reminder for everyone, please give us your name and address so we can have that for the minutes and for the record. So I'll take the first one in line.
Okay. My name is Cassandra Sakata, and I live at 76 Sherrill Place Lane in Garner. Members of the Johnston County Planning Board or Advisory Board, I come as not as a global company that offers tax dollars. I come as someone who lives in that neighborhood right next door. The growth in Cleveland Township, as you know, has been the fastest in Johnston County over the last 3 years. Anyone who even drives through the area knows how fast everything has changed. This proposal places the county's heaviest industrial zoning right next to hundreds of families and neighbors that has exploded since 2022. There was a mention of a traffic analysis study from 2022 and then a mention of a new traffic analysis study that had just been done. I'm asking the board to follow your own standards. Look at their proposed use. On page 91 of the December 2nd, page 91, out of that 111 pages, it says Regional Mixed Use Center. And according to the consistency statement on the JC Board Planning, regional mixed use is a term that is defined as centers of activity that includes retail, restaurant, office, civic, institutional uses. I think of North Hills or parts of Flowers Plantation. Their application states that they meet this definition because their massive warehouse complex will have a designated employment center, which they label a mix of uses. Listen closely, a mix of uses because it hires people to work in its warehouse is not regional mixed use. That's ludicrous. Tonight, I want everyone in this room to take a good look at the map. You can pull it up on your phone. The map tells the truth. It doesn't spin, it simply shows what's already here. Neighborhoods and public-facing businesses. The developer's proposal states that there's currently industrial warehouses and automotive service businesses. As I drive down Pierce Road and turn right onto Cleveland, I see a mom and pop car sales shop. I see a Walgreens, I see a CVS. I turn right, I see an Advanced Auto Parts. I see a Wawa's, a Whataburger, a Valvoline oil change, a Biscuitville, a Circle K. And this so-called industrial warehouse, which was not leased, by the way, for over a year, they gave up their industrial dreams, is now a dance studio, a karate studio, a pickleball studio, and batting cages. There's also a spa house. This is not an industrial area. The developer promises buffers and compatibility. They exclude the one thing that matters most, that this will not harm the communities already here. Let's be honest, they can't promise that because they wrote these misleading statements on their application. I've only referenced 2 of them. We've seen this story over and over again with corporations. Look what they're asking for, 28 acres of heavy industrial, 2 massive warehouses, 78 total loading docks, 232 parking spaces, 4 access points feeding directly on tiny rural Pierce Road. Buffers don't stop noise, they don't stop 24/7 traffic, they don't protect our air, our water, or our property values. Let's talk about safety and fairness. They're not building in an empty field miles from anyone. What they're doing is industrial intrusion. We, the residents, are the only ones with something real at stake here. Prologis loses nothing if this is denied, but we lose everything if this is approved. This rezoning is not in the public interest. Protect the people who have already invested in Garner's tax base. I'm asking the board to follow their own standards, do the right thing, and vote no on case 2515. At the January 6th Unified Development and Ordinance meeting, the planning board and the public expressed strong concerns about preventing new industrial residential complex and the need for stronger separation between conflicting land uses. This decision will have long-lasting impacts on the livability of the Cleveland community. I invite you to drive by. I will send a video of the current status of the horrible traffic at Cleveland and Pierce Road at rush hour. It's atrocious. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Amber El-Harani. Address is 116 Cheryl Place Lane, Garner, North Carolina, 27529. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and neighbors. I've been a resident of Johnston County since my community was developed. This county is more than an address to me. It's where I built my life, where I raised my kids, and where I watched the community grow carefully over time, and where the land still reflects agricultural roots. I want to start by saying this. This isn't about land use. It's about communities. It's about families who chose Johnston County because of what it is, not what it's going to be turned into. For many of us, this land represents more than property lines on a map. It represents quiet mornings, safe roads for our kids, space to breathe, and sense of community that cannot be rebuilt once it's gone. When I go over the planning for rezoning case 2515, this change may look small on paper, but its impact will be felt every single day to the community. We understand that Johnston County is growing, but growth needs to happen where infrastructure is ready for it. We are not ready for it. This needs to happen where once farmland is, Once farmland is rezoned and developed, we lose more than scenery. We lose natural drainage, green space, and protection for our waterways. That leads to more runoff, more pollution, and long-term impacts that can't be easily fixed later. Johnston County is already facing lawsuits on both east and west side of their county water systems at levels where they have above 4 times the amount of the EPA health benchmarks exceeding. These forever chemicals are persistent to industrial contaminants where we can never remove them from our bodies, impacting our health greatly. Rezoning to industrial would only contaminate our water and air even more. Our local roads were built for farm traffic and neighborhood use. Our roads are narrow, already busy, and not designed to safely handle a significant increase in vehicles. That affects not only convenience, but safety. This rezoning adds more pressure on already overcrowded schools, emergency services, and infrastructure that hasn't caught up yet from the growth that has occurred since 2021. Property values are also a concern. Many of us chose to live in this part of the county because it's rural zoning. We invested in our homes with the expectation that the surrounding land would remain consistent with the county's long-term plans. Sudden zoning changes like this create uncertainty and can negatively impact homeowners who have done everything right. We invested our lives here with the understanding that zoning mattered, that it was a promise of stability and thoughtful growth. Rezoning case 2515 breaks that promise. I'm asking you to consider the people who are already here, the families, the farmers, and homeowners who built their lives around this current zoning. This request may benefit a few, but it carries lasting consequences to many. Approving rezoning case 2515 sends a message that short-term developmental interests matter more than long-term community well-being, and I don't believe that reflects the values of this county or this board. Please don't make a decision that future residents will regret and current residents will have to live with forever. I respectfully ask you to deny rezoning case 2515. Thank you for your time and listening for the people who call this county home.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. My name is Claudia Gonzalez. I live in 13 Shady Creek Trail, right in the Cheryl Place Village community. I took a picture of a sign that as soon as you enter Pierce Road, you see it, and it is an actual limit of 6.5 tons. Do you want me to pass it around? Or?
Yeah, you can pass it around.
All right.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
So the road that would be used to access this proposed development has clearly posted signage starting an axle weight limit of 6.5 tons. These signs are not optional or outdated. They exist because the road cannot safely support heavy vehicles. For context, an empty semi-truck weighs approximately 16 to 17 tons. Even without cargo, a semi-truck would exceed the posted weight limit, and a loaded semi-truck would exceed it by a substantial margin. Despite this clear restriction, the proposed rezoning would allow the use that would almost certainly require frequent truck traffic and heavy vehicles, which directly contradicts the first responders, emergency vehicles, school traffic, and anybody that goes on this road. In addition, residents are requesting the road development and expansion to be addressed first if this rezoning is to move forward. The existing roads are narrow. There's only one lane. They're very limited and already understrained. Without improvements such as widening, reinforcing, and safety upgrades, the infrastructure does not support the scale for this proposed project. It is also important to know that this is not only the only rezoning currently proposed in the area. There is already construction started very, very nearby. When viewed together, these rezonings could dramatically increase traffic, noise, and safety risks. Evaluating this case in isolation fails to consider the cumulative impact on the community. So we are not opposed to growth. However, it needs to be in a way that supports safety for the nearby neighbors. This street, Breers Road, is specifically a single-family home road. Every single house that's along and every single community that's along there, it's a single-family house. So this is drastically different from what we're used to. So we are requesting that road development and expansion plans are clear and defined before you vote on this. So I oppose this the rezoning case of 2515. I also did a petition and I shared it with our near communities. This includes Pierce Road and Pierce Landing and Cheryl Place. I have the information here. I'm not sure if you want me to pass it, but
You can give
everybody.
it, you can probably, it's just a petition. Well, we'll take it. We'll pass it around. We'll give it to staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lee Hope Fountain. I live at 206 Cheryl Place Lane in Garner, 27529. So, the traffic data that has been provided, we feel is clearly outdated. It relies on a 2022 traffic count for Pierce Road. The NCDOT traffic map containing 2022 AADT data was last updated on May 11th of 2022. So that data set was already compiled or in the process of being compiled before that date. The traffic number that they have provided, 1,400 vehicles per day, means that the raw counts had already been gathered earlier in the year, usually January to April. On 6/27/2022, the last house on Cheryl Place Village sold. There are 64 homes in Cheryl Place. On 6/23/2022, the first completed home in the Pierce Landing subdivision was sold. There are about 60 homes. So this adds a minimum of 124 extra cars, more buses, garbage trucks, etc. Also, early 2022 was in the COVID era. The traffic count is low. If you've been on this road, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, from 5 to 6:30 p.m., it takes at least 15 minutes and a long line of cars just to turn right. Then you have to wait in a huge line to get to the traffic light. How will this be with giant trucks going in and out at all hours of the day? This data does not reflect the significant growth that has occurred since the opening of Veterans Parkway and multiple nearby subdivisions, including Pierce Landing Phases 1 and 2, Cheryl Place Village, Cleveland Springs, and others. Without updated traffic counts, the county cannot accurately assess current roadway conditions. In addition, no traffic impact analysis was submitted. The proposed 280,000-plus square feet of warehouses and distribution space with 78 dock doors and 4 driveway access points, Pierce Road is 3.2 miles long, would obviously generate more than the thresholds that normally require a certified TIA, yet none was required or provided. There is no analysis of truck volumes, peak hours, turning movements, queuing, or impacts to Veterans Parkway, Cleveland Road, or surrounding residential streets. Industrial rezoning cannot proceed without traffic engineering. A single 15-foot landscaping strip plus a creek buffer does not eliminate noise, diesel, lighting, or truck activity. The closest homes are well within 350 feet of truck operations. In addition, the project is incompatible with adjacent residential neighborhoods. This rezoning places the county's heaviest industrial zoning directly next to the Sherrill Place subdivisions. Prologis lists exclusions like meat packing and cotton gins, things nobody in the neighborhood was necessarily worried about. What the community is concerned about are the things the conditions do not address: truck hours, truck routes, nighttime operations, lighting, noise, vibration, and emissions. The conditions do almost nothing to protect the people living beside this site. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm going to continue from her. I am Anicia Williams at 35 Shady Creek Trail. Mason Borough Road extension mentioned in case 25-15 is not a real existing road. It is only a concept shown on the Prologis site plan. This means the road's ability to safely handle heavy industrial truck traffic is unknown. There is a weight limit street sign on Pierce Road, as previously stated. Rezoning should, of course, not occur before these engineering determinations are finalized. Mason Borough Road extension's function classification and design is not established. Rezoning cannot precede the engineering determination. What about the pavement thickness? There is no confirmation that our tiny strip of neighborhood streets can safely support constant wear and tear of tractor trailers.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jared Sampson. I am at 122 Sherrill Place Lane. Thank you all for your time. So, the approval would conflict with the county's current UDO reform goals. At the January 6 UDO meeting, the planning board and the public expressed strong concerns about preventing new industrial residential conflicts. On December 2nd, 2025, the special called planning board meeting on the new UDO county staff and planning board members discussed the need for a stronger separation between conflicting land uses, especially where new development borders existing neighborhoods, such as ours. The draft UDO presented at the meeting, the draft UDO presented at the meeting, including expanded buffers between residential and industrial uses up to 500 feet, and emphasized preventing land use conflicts that degrade quality of life for the existing homeowners. The planning board specifically acknowledged that Johnston County's current rules do not adequately protect residents from incompatible industrial development. Adding an I-2 industrial rezoning directly beside an established subdivision contradicts the issues raised during this meeting and goes against the very improvements the county identified as necessary. Chairman, you stated that the communication received is a need for a better understanding of the real-world impacts of the proposed UDO draft, so that there isn't a situation for a lot of text amendments so quickly. The board asked for more analysis for real-world impacts before approving zoning in rapidly growing areas. Approving the heaviest industrial zoning adjacent to an existing neighborhood goes against what would state the goals of the improving land use compatibility and protecting current homeowners. For these reasons, I ask that you do not recommend any type of rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Scollin, and I live at 120 Forest Meadow Court in Garner. This is directly behind the property being considered for rezoning. My property includes part of the stream that was previously mentioned by Morningstar. I own up until the midway point of the stream, and this stream serves as a boundary between my home and the proposed development. While the developers have indicated that a mandatory tree buffer will be provided, I want to make it very clear that this is not adequate. A few rows of trees cannot offset the significant impacts of a heavy industrial facility built immediately next to existing homes. The noise, traffic, and visual intrusion from such a massive structure cannot be mitigated by a minimal buffer. I also wanted to address the photograph shown by Morningstar, which showed the point of view of the industrial warehouse from my backyard. This photo appeared to be taken from inside my fence and presented as evidence that the development would not be visible from my property. That image is misleading. My fence does not mark the full extent of my property. The fence they photographed is only 268 foot from my house. However, I own well beyond that point, over an acre down to the stream. From my actual property line and yard, the proposed structure would be clearly visible. It would not be screened by a few trees. Traffic is also a major concern. I'm not going to reiterate this because you've heard that from my neighbors. But another big concern of mine is the 18-wheelers and trucks themselves. Morningstar stated that the traffic will include 236 daily trips. These are not all commuter vehicles. Most of these vehicles will be 18-wheelers, which will be coming in and out of the proposed warehouses all day. Trucks will arrive early to make deliveries and often have to wait for businesses to open, idling for long periods of time. This means constant engine noise, diesel exhaust, and the repetitive beeping of trucks backing into loading docks, all of which would be audible from my home. I work from home and have a young daughter, and I cannot imagine listening to that all day, every day. That isn't just an inconvenience, it affects our ability to sleep, enjoy our property, and breathe clean air. It would also have a real impact on all my neighbors. The property is currently zoned agricultural residential and sits on a residential street surrounded by family homes. It was zoned this way for a reason. Changing it to heavy industrial would fundamentally change the character of this area, negatively impact property values, and set a dangerous precedent. I respectfully urge the board to deny this rezoning and protect the homes, families, and environments of this community. Thank you.
We're going to double team and try to speed up time. My name is Adam Shaw. It's my wife, Sarah. We live in Sherrill Place, across the street from the other community that was just speaking, 197 Water Pond. We are a stone's throw from the proposed rezoning area.
If we can pull up a satellite map and so we can see, kind of get a visualization. So we are the corner property that backs up to the road right before the pond area.
Down a little
so, yeah, go on the other side of Pierce. The north side. Yep, right. So not that one, go over we're that one. So our backyard directly backs up to things. So just to kind of give a reference of what our point of view is and everything.
Again, and not to beat a dead horse with the traffic. One area that I think has been missed is that the used car dealership that's on Cleveland there's another project that has been started here. They just started clearing the land and they're getting ready to build there. I looked it up today, and what I could tell is that it's some type of, again, office type space or something of that nature. None of the traffic analysis studies are, I'm assuming, are not taking that into consideration. Moreover, myself, and I'm pretty sure everyone else in this room that's opposed to this rezoning, doesn't need a traffic analysis study. We have eyes and ears. We see it every day. We live it every day. We drive in and out of there every day. Work, grocery store, what have you. It can take you 10 to 15 minutes just to get from the Lowe's home improvement store, that's a mile and a half down the road, to our house. Now you're going to factor in all these extra trucks, all these extra businesses, tons of extra traffic, making the commute much, much worse. To the gentleman's point before about the speed limit on Pierce Road, it is 45 in some areas. It's still 55 in other areas, which is entirely too fast. I would love the fact if that road could be reduced down to 35. We have personally tried that endeavor ourselves, along with other neighbors. And we were basically given the middle finger by the Department of Transportation, or whoever makes those calls. They initially dropped it down from 55 to 45. Big deal. People come flying up and down that road on a daily basis, revving their cars, their motorcycles, tractor trailers. It causes a major disruption in our everyday life. We have a nice backyard space that we like to utilize in the spring and summertime. Obviously, that's going to be severely disrupted with this extra truck noise, smells, lighting, you name it. It's going to disrupt our daily life.
So I went point by point as we were listening to the progress recommendation. So, and we were at the optional developer meeting where they sought out
community response, and I can tell you it was overwhelmingly uncomfortably negative. We do not want this, okay? That's the summary of it. So the logistics they mentioned, they're talking about global company clients, not local businesses, not people from our community. They're talking about warehouses and trucks, not restaurants, retail, community services, again, adding value to our community. Some of the traffic stuff I'm gonna skip over because we've mentioned, but I have grown up on back roads my entire life. I grew up on 9.5 acres of a field. My best friend was over a mile away. Okay, so I've done back roads my entire life. The traffic mitigation there at Pierce and Cleveland is awful at night. It is absolutely awful. If you were trying to turn left from Cleveland onto Pierce, you cannot see the road. You can't see where it is. There's no traffic lane control as people are making forced U-turns coming out of Walgreens. People are trying to turn right. People are trying to go in lanes to go left, lanes to go right. It's an absolute disaster. So the mitigation only worked to get away from the traffic light, which was the only positive. Everything else about it has been worse, as somebody who lives there. Keep in mind, as we've talked about with the other zoning, the zoning in the area north of Pierce was approved light industrial, but with a restriction that Curtis failed to mention. No tractor trailers. That was actually one of the restrictions placed on it. It has to be light industrial with box trucks only.
We were
and
here for
personal
that, we were
vehicles.
here for that meeting as well, which we did fight against.
Yes, we tried to
And if
fight
there was
against
any way
that.
for us to go back and try to get that reversed, we
We
certainly
would.
would, and we're open to
Okay.
see your suggestions.
So again, now we're talking about traffic mitigation. We have the area started there on Cleveland that has now started. We have the area north of Pierce that are already gonna add even more traffic to that intersection. So now we're talking about adding even more with large vehicles. So we have to take into consideration those projects. People have mentioned trucks at all hours, but has anybody used that Wawa light old drugstore light intersection? Has anybody used it at rush hour? Those trucks aren't getting out that way. They are not getting out there. They're not gonna be able to make the left turn to get onto 40. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna come out Pierce. And they're either gonna clog up Cleveland or they're gonna speed down Pierce towards 50 to get out on that way. So let's be honest, that ideal situation is not going to work, okay? It's not gonna be the reality. It's already a giant cluster there, I'll leave it at that, but we already know how many accidents already happen at that intersection because of the lanes merging, people turning. Again, it's not a great intersection. From our backyard, this time of year, we actually see Walgreens. We see the Walgreens lights from our yard. We see every headlight coming down that road. So when they say they're gonna protect against lights, they can't. Because if I can see Walgreens, I'm gonna see their trucks. I'm gonna see their industrial lights. I'm gonna see those headlights. That means we could get even less use out of our backyard. We, at the builders meeting, were told 300 to 350 daily trips per the study that they mentioned. Magically tonight, it's down to 230. I wonder how they lost 120 trips per day. Gonna leave it at that. Tractor trailers do take up significantly more space, so when you talk about the TIA needing 1,000 vehicles per day, 300 tractor trailers per day is about the space equivalent and use equivalent of 1,000 passenger vehicles per day. So I would say that this does qualify as needing a TIA separate. Again, 35 miles per hour, I would appreciate that, so thank you for at least petitioning for that, I can applaud that. Environmental was mentioned, we've mentioned it at the meeting, they did not acknowledge it tonight, but other people have mentioned it, so I will skip over that. The noise, again, we hear 42 traffic, Veterans Parkway 36, whatever it is.
We hear 40 traffic.
We hear 40 traffic all the time, constantly. We hear those trucks. So if we hear those trucks, we're of course gonna hear the trucks coming in right at the end of our road. So again, you can't control for that noise and mitigate for that. Property values, again, were not acknowledged. We talked about them that night. We brought them up significantly, asking who wants to live next to that? Who would buy a house?
And I'm gonna say, I'm in real estate, I can speak firsthand to this. I have numerous clients I work with every single day. My clients, I would recommend stay as far away from that community as possible.
So all of our
It's
long-term
a-
investments,
It is
Right.
it is a bad move.
our long-term investments, our property value investments are going to go down. Our resale abilities are going to go down, which will affect Johnston County as a whole, because guess what, who our houses are gonna sell to? Rentals, big corporations that are looking to rent out. What's that gonna do to the stability? What's gonna do to community and safety when single-family homes are being turned over into rentals or sitting empty, not being used because people can't sell them? And then safety, which again, we brought up significantly multiple times at the meeting that Fergus did not acknowledge tonight. They skipped over that one. We have lots of small kids between the two communities. The bus stop for Sherrill Place and Sherrill Place Village is right at that cross intersection. That is a blind turn. It is very hard to see on either side of that turn when you are coming and going. That's a bus stop for kids on both sides of the neighborhood. 64 houses in Sherrill Place Village, 34 houses in Sherrill Place. Go down the street and the Pierce Landing, if you move the maps over, the Pierce Landing is actually 94 homes, not 60. 94 homes. They have one bus stop there at the end of the street, also on a dangerous blind turn. So now you want to bring tractor trailers, trying to make time, trying to make cuts down roads that we already have blind turns for school buses. That is a safety concern. What about teenagers and new drivers trying to get to school on dark mornings in the middle of winter? How many of you have teenagers that you've taught to drive, and then when they go out their first couple of times, you're sweating bullets because you're just worried about them making it to school by themselves okay, let alone a tractor trailer meeting them on a narrow country road on a blind turn?
We've been in that house since 2017 and we've seen substantial changes to the area. Just since we've been there, we have personally seen numerous accidents, car accidents on Pierce Road, some of which have occurred on our property, where people have almost died. Adding these trucks and this extra traffic is only gonna make things worse. The other thing I'd just like to mention too, some of the other areas that are not too far away, such as the 42, what do they call it, 42 Crossing, what do they call it?
Yeah, 42 Crossing, the industrial complex, there's one on,
By the Wawa there, and then you also have the one down towards Clayton by the Habitat for Restore. There are plenty of open docks there. I've driven by. It's a ghost town. We don't need any more of these things. Again, we're not opposed to development or making Johnston County better.
bring in a restaurant, a locally owned,
We want to see
business.
things, you know, we want to see the community have personal investments, not giant corporations that, quite frankly, they can tell us all day long that they care about us. They don't. They're a corporation.
They care about their bottom dollar, not the community that they're serving. If we're gonna, if this is going to be rezoned from agricultural residential to any type of commercial, it should be local commercial that includes restaurants and shops that add value to the community, that can be owned by local people who live there. I'm a small business owner. When I was looking for space for my business, I ended up in South Cary because that's where I found a place that I could afford to rent. South Cary, from Garner. Wouldn't it be nice if I could find a place to have my business close to my home and support my community? So, I mean, this is where this warehouse is not going to serve the people who live here, it's only going to detract from us.
This is basically turning Johnson County in all the wrong places that we think it should go.
Thank you for your time.
Any questions? Thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Erin Wojnowski, 150 Sherrill Place Lane. Thank you for listening to my concerns. I did see that there was a proposal on the traffic plan for Masonboro to be extended all the way through to Pierce. I am not opposed to that. What I am opposed to is that it remaining a privately owned road. This is a road for them, not for us. And I saw currently on the development plan that both roads intersecting are scheduled to be widened because of the current strain on the traffic. This is also the Federal Highway Administration listed this interchange right here as a very dangerous intersection with a high number of accidents. I saw that in the minutes of the plan meeting on January 6th. So I question this proprietary traffic analysis that was done because clearly, as everyone has stated, but I wanted to have it into the minutes that this is already identified as a dangerous area. For that reason, I don't think any development should be privately owned. I think Masonboro should be a benefit for the current area. And I am a mother of a teen who will soon be driving. And if Masonboro is developed all the way through, there should be traffic lights. There should be clear ways to control and measure the existing traffic and not just adding it without anything else. So thank you for your concern. And I urge encourage you to vote no for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Kanae Ketchin, 85 Clearsview Drive. I live in Sherrill Place, and our property backs up to Pierce Road. Just one quick comment on the Mason Borough. It's more of a historical point. Do you all remember there used to be a cut through on 42 to
Yeah.
Cleveland? And they closed it, and that was for safety reasons. And without the regulation that the young lady mentioned before, I think we're gonna have the same issue with that connection to Pierce Road. So I just want to make that historical reference to the board. And I want to say to everyone here tonight, I love your comments. Please come back on March 2nd. That's when it counts. Please come back on March 2nd.
Good note. Thank you. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Good evening, my name is Ted Krinkle. I live at 144 Cliff Hill Drive, Garner, North Carolina, 27529. That is the Adams Point subdivision, a residential neighborhood of over 700 single-family homes. We are opposed to this. When I talked to my neighbors about it and brought it up into our Facebook chat groups, there was a number of them that live in that neighborhood said that they are opposed to it. They would write the emails and submit that accordingly as time allows, because 700 people, 700 homes can't fit into this room. I want to explain to you all what that amount of truck traffic is going to do for the surrounding area. There is no truck stop for semis to sit and wait. Those trucks, when they arrive, they're going to come to that intersection of Mason Borough and 36, and they're going to try and park on that road, because it's a private road, it's not public, so they're going to try and park there. When they can't park there, they're going to park their semis and they're going to idle at Food Lion, that's on 42. They'll try to do that at Lowe's. They will try to do that at Walmart. They'll try to go up down to 50 and go 42 to be at Publix. And then they'll also try to do it at the new Exxon station that's going in at Cornwallis and Cleveland. That will greatly impact everybody, and that is unacceptable. Currently, right now, the intersection of Mason Borough, Old Drugstore Road, and 36 has 4 lanes when you are traveling westbound, shrink down in the middle of the intersection from a 4-lane road to a 2-lane road. Whoever came up with that idea should be fired. Okay? Because that's a state road. How long is it going to take the state to widen that road all the way out to 50? It's taken them over, what, 20 years just to do 540. Just the part that reached from Apex to here. So we know that North Carolina is a little bit behind the wall. You know, they're trying to play catch up, and they're just greatly, 20, 30 years behind. The amount of public that is coming in, there is additional homes that are going to be built in that area, and as that has been mentioned before, they are seeking the amenities that people are looking for, the restaurants, the shopping. They are not looking for heavy industrial. The Adams Point neighborhood is 1.5 miles away. 700 homes don't want this and are asking, please vote no on case 2515.
Anyone else? Okay. Bring back staff.
Staff recommendation was approval based on the consistency statement and the conditions in the staff report.
Mr. Chairman, did I hear somebody testify that the adjacent parcels that are consistent did not allow for 18-wheelers?
Correct, that's correct.
Box trucks
Staff-
on,
Staff,
At
do you
least
have?
the North Pierce,
Hang
I
on.
cannot attest.
Hang on,
to
hang on,
the-
hang on.
I
Staff.
wasn't at the, Board of County Commissioners meeting, Preston.
yeah.
We heard testimony that the conditions were identical. I want to check that with staff to.
So, without those conditions in front of me, it'd be difficult to say. I do know there was discussions about the parking and removing there was trailer parking on the site, trailer parking on the site and removing that, but I can't speak to the other as far as the actual coming and going of tractor trailers on the site. My apologies if I'd have known that was coming
What
up.
was
We would have been prepared
That's okay.
and had those records available.
Is there, what board meeting was that at?
That's a really good question.
I think it was October 6th, because I was at that meeting.
We can keep discussion. I'll see if I can find the minutes.
This is a private road is what I heard. So this is a private connection from some point Masonboro Road over to Pierce Road. Does that mean they can gate this thing off, do whatever they want to with it?
Yeah. It's actually,
I
need to ask the,
Yeah, if you want
I
to
need to
come
ask
up
the
and.
developer.
question, it's fine.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Just so we can capture in the minutes and all.
Good evening. My name's Spencer Terry. I'm the engineer, director of engineering for BGE. Our office is at 5438 Wade Park Boulevard, and we're Suite 420. Gary, to answer your question, the access is actually, it's a public easement and a utility easement that runs off of the south side of Masonboro. So that'll be extended to Pierce Road. And at any time that the state's willing to take it over, the businesses that are along that road can petition that, and the state can take it over. It'll be built just like near the Wawa, that portion of Masonboro. It's all built to DOT standards through Johnson County's requirements.
But they're not, in the near future, you're not building it DOT standards or?
100% have to. We have to
Right.
build it to DOT standards, and it will be a public access.
Is it just mean it's privately maintained?
Correct.
And then, but you can't
Publicly.
keep people from using it?
Absolutely not. So the
Okay.
public can use the road.
Right.
It is what they call an ingress, egress, regress easement or a cross-access easement. It's very typical. This happens when you have multiple parcels specifically,
Yeah.
like a commercial development.
I wanted to hear somebody say that.
So that answers that question.
I got a question as well.
Sure.
We talked about the posting, and I did check it. It is posted, the whole length of Pierce Road is posted at 6.5 tons. Is there any plans to mitigate that, especially in front of the business that you're proposing, the two buildings?
So just so everybody understands what the 6.5 ton requirement is for.
Per axle.
Per axle,
Right.
but it has nothing to do with the actual integrity of the road or how it was built to DOT standards. That is completely considering the culvert crossing on this stream.
Okay. Cross it on what street?
This stream right here.
Oh,
Pierce
the
Road.
stream, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
thought
Pierce
you said
Road,
street.
Pierce
Okay.
Road dips down actually almost 30 feet to the stream, and there's a culvert there that is regulated at 6.5 tons
Per axle.
per axle. And your standard truck, a WV50, is 8 tons per axle. So you would have to go with a smaller trailer if you're going to cross the stream.
If you're going ahead.
Or lighter
towards
load.
50.
Or lighter load. If you are turning left on Pierce Road, that's correct. And the TIA does not reflect a lot of turns going that direction, just so we're clear.
I can assure you, there are plenty of.
Hang on, no,
traffic
we heard testimony, we're not gonna get comments from the crowd, I appreciate it, but we gotta be able to capture them in the minutes and the mic as well, so. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot, the October minutes from the Board of County Commissioners are not posted online. So, I'm sorry, Sauer, you had a question?
Were you gonna say something?
Is it on me? No.
Oh, okay,
I'm good.
I'm sorry.
I'm good. No.
Other questions of the applicant, of the engineer? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, who would determine when a stoplight or a traffic signal is necessary?
So there's a series of warrants that are included in what's called the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices that Federal Highways Administration publishes that describe when a traffic signal is warranted. Ultimately, it's up to NCDOT to determine, whether a signal is needed at a particular location. There's a lot of intersections around the world that you could say meet one or more of those warrants. Obviously, there's not signals at all of them. So NCDOT makes a determination of whether a signal is needed or not at a specific location.
Do they accept someone petitioning them to evaluate that, or is that?
They will.
I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, for sure.
So there's a signal there now.
I meant at the new road.
Oh, Pierce?
Pierce Road.
Yeah.
Pierce Road seems to be the main road of contention.
From a matter of consistency, I think the last time the one to the north came up, I think it was me that made a motion to deny. And I know they met a bunch of the criteria. They changed that based on that one to the north. I think there still is some open questions about, especially the tractor trailers as compared to the box trucks. And I wish I knew what that was, because that would help, because if they're meeting the same criteria that was based to the north, then it helps my decision. But with that, go ahead.
I mean, the applicant looks like maybe he's got it. I just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe council has the minutes that he can help answer this question, if you will give him a minute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am still searching online and.
I didn't see it either, so, and I didn't see it in my email.
And unfortunately, we weren't prepared to answer this with hard copies, but I'll approach and show you. It's a screenshot of the signed conditions from that October hearing. Again, just to show you, that's the signature
Yep, good
of
to
the
go.
applicant in the case. And there is indeed a use that's prohibited. Well, first of all, our conditions are identical in every way to the conditions that were signed, dated October 14th, and adopted from the continued October 6th meeting. There is a condition that's prohibiting trucking terminal, and that is prohibited in this case as well. But in every other respect, in every respect, our zoning conditions have mimicked that. So to the extent that there was conversation relative to box trucks versus tractor trailers, that is not incorporated into the conditions associated with that site, based upon the information that's available on the town's website and the signed conditions from that meeting.
Very good. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Just to beat a dead horse, tractor trailers are allowed at the sites on the other side of the road here. Is that
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Preston, would you mind please pulling up their PowerPoint? They had a slide with uses on it. I would like to look at that.
And while we're doing that, just a question about the TIA. Was the traffic count on Pierce Road, was the count used that was on DOT's website, or did you actually do another count during that
If you want to speak
TIA?
into this.
Okay. Or traffic impact?
Yeah, so the 1,400 something vehicles per day, that is from NCDOT's traffic count data. They have a map online that we got that information from.
Right. So, and I think that it is dated, so I heard that mentioned. That was a 2022, 2023 number. Just
Did I
verify
not
that.
hear them testify that they did a new study?
Yes, but what I was asking was the traffic on Pierce Road as it pertains to what DOT's website says, it was done in 22 or 23, and it was 1,400 cars per day. What they did a study on is that based on that 1,400 and also what this would generate.
The impact based on the 1,400.
Yes,
Well,
correct.
There needs to be some clarity to that.
Okay.
The 1,400 is from, sorry, so, and I don't mind standing up. The 1,400 is what everybody said, coming from the DOT's AADT traffic counts. However, when we do these, we actually take into consideration all of the new development. And that includes all of the new neighborhoods, all of the new construction sites, all the new industrial sites, and all of that is then incorporated into that to create a background. Then we project what's going to happen to that total amount of traffic with the amount of traffic that we're bringing to it, which is the 236 trips per day.
And understand, it's just not with not us creating or the county, DOT or the county creating a checklist that shows what intersections of what you will actually look at and take into account. That's why I asked that question.
Yes, but we did consult with the DOT, and we did a preliminary analysis, and with their recommendations are the areas that we actually investigated.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all in the report.
Thanks.
Are these all the same as what was done across the street?
They've testified that these have been identical uses in identical conditions.
And that is also in the packet, three of the last 4 pages in your packet too. If you
Just
can see
curious
these.
why airport would have been left up there.
I'm curious why a few of them left up there.
Well, I'm on the A's.
Some of that stuff ain't gonna go into a warehouse.
Mr. Marr, do you know when the facility that is located across from the Cleveland Draft House behind the Vance Auto Parts open?
The storage building?
Is
Got
that
the storage building over there.
Is that the long
That'd be the
white
Merritt,
building?
Merritt Properties development, yes. So that's been within the last couple of years of actual construction. Now, it's been a few years since they received their zoning approval. That's a little bit of a different beast. It's more of a, it's more of a commercial flex as opposed to industrial flex. May have a light industrial, really light industrial component to it. Some light industrial uses which actually cross over. You do have some uses that cross over across those, the zoning districts, but that's more of a light industrial and commercial flex,
Next
if
to
we
the
call it.
storage, the storage place out there, isn't it?
That is, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a smaller type.
Located at 6100 Veterans Parkway, I believe is the address.
Just looking at that.
It's a multiple building, but you do have, I mean, there are, once again, there are roll-up doors, overhead doors and such that they'll enter from the rear of the buildings, but they do have some, if you want to call it commercial front or commercial storefronts as well. Commercial glass fronts, should not say storefront.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are you done with this?
Yes, sir.
Can you bring up the picture that shows the previous approved property? Yeah.
Well,
You have that zoomed out a little bit,
I can't zoom out of this. This is a big.
maybe on GIS? Yeah.
Point of reference, subject properties here, the property referred to is here.
back to the zoning if you don't mind.
So they have one access on the Cleveland and one out access, no, one access on the pier.
Two.
What is it, two?
Oh, and they're gonna create a third.
No, they have, I was talking to one across the street.
Oh, yeah, two. Two, one here, one here.
As I mentioned before, I'll say it that, I was looking for consistency in what we have done to the north. And by all means that we've found, it seems like we have been consistent in the same zoning requirements to the south. And if nothing else, consistency means a whole lot to me, is that we're always treating things the same and do the same thing. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
I second that. I agree with what you just said.
I've got a motion to approve by Mr. Little, a second by Mr. Sasser. Those in favor of, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that'll go forward to the Board of County Commissioners as a recommendation for approval. Again, that will be heard at the March 2nd Planning Board, or Board of County Commissioners meeting. Next on our agenda is approval of written decisions. Got
My
those?
mistake, I did not print them out, so we're gonna do those next, in 3 weeks.
We'll handle them all at the
Yeah,
next
we'll handle them all. I've already identified them.
Okay, that's no problem. Do you want, you want us to approve them now, even though they're not signed, and me sign them later?
No, just, I think we can bring them.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I think you need a vote to approve.
Minutes, we can just wait till.
You need a vote to approve.
They can wait until.
Since we don't have hard copies.
I can get them if you will wait.
I mean,
I just took the wrong device.
if you want us to go ahead and approve, I mean, we can wait a few minutes if you want to get them.
I'll go get them.
I'd rather handle it now and not hold anybody
I'll
up.
be right back. I just took the wrong device.
That's fine, no problem, take your time.
Take a break, just,
Yeah, we'll take a break and All right, we're going to approve written decisions. I believe we have 10 of them here this evening, so we'll roll through these. I need a motion and a second for each one of these to approve me to execute the written decision. We will start with Antioch Heights.
Make a
motion to approve.
A second.
Motion approved by Mr. Little, second by Mr. Lovering. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next is Creech Ridge.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Approved by Mr. Sasser, second by Mr. Little. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is Earp South Phase 2.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Approved by Mr. Sasser, second by Mr. Williams. Y'all really are gonna mix it up on me tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Edgerton Tract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Ms. Howard, second by Mr. Sasser. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ennis Road Tract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Lovering, second by Ms. Ford. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Graham's Place Phase 3.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Crenshaw, second by Mr. Sasser. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Gene Lee Tract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Ms. Ford, second by Ms. Howard. All those in favor say aye.
By Sasser, but
It's
that's
the
okay.
most entertaining YouTube video ever. All right, O'Neill Tract, NC Highway 39.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Little, second by Mr. Sasser. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Howard abstained.
Okay.
For the record.
I did.
Thank you. All right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. Wheeler Tract.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Lovering, second by Mr. Sasser. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And last but not least, Southern Inspired Homes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Crenshaw. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned.